As far as I'm concerned, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, because the same women who said that they'll never date a fat guy or a guy with a bare belly are the same ones who get mad when a guy says he doesn't want to date her because she's gotten too fat. The same women who say they'll never date a guy because he has a small Peter Parker are the same ones who get upset when a guy says he wants double D's and not an A cup. The same women who will clown a guy for a receding hairline or a bald head will be the same ones getting upset because he chooses to go with a girl who has long, luscious hair and not her who is wearing a lace front with no edges. And the same women who are applauding Lizzo for her body positivity and her bravery are the same ones clowning 50 Cent for putting on some weight. Y'all are hypocrites. Y'all good? Y'all ready? Let's talk. Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's just jump right in. Today we are talking about hypocrisy, more specifically the hypocrisy of women when it comes to body shaming men. I, for one, am not a fan of this term body shaming because I think that people, as they often do, misuse this term, bastardize this term, they just go overboard with it. Just stating a fact these days is known as body shaming. Why did you call that lady fat? Because she's fat? Body shaming, as the term was coined, is when you make mocking or critical statements about somebody's appearance or their shape or their size. Stating the obvious is not shaming. But the media, particularly social media, has a tendency to drag men, cancel them when they speak out of turn, anytime they comment on a woman's appearance or her body. There's always this vociferous outcry from women when this happens, but what happens when men are body shamed? People figure, oh, it's nothing men can't handle. Oh, they don't care. They do care. Women aren't the only ones who are reduced to their body or their body parts. It happens to men quite often. And let me tell you something, the women can be quite cruel when they're talking about men. There's just this clear double standard. And don't get me wrong, shaming goes on both sides. But I just feel like when men do it, there's this incredible amount of flack that they get, whereas women just go, bad girl, not a big deal. How many times have we seen women crying on TikTok because they've been ghosted by a date because they're overweight? He didn't want to date me because I'm fat. All of a sudden, the guy is the bad guy. But let some woman do it. Girl, I ghosted him because he was too fat. Oh, girl, I get it. He would have crushed you. He would have totally crushed me. So let's delve into some of the ways these wicked women body shame men for things that are simply beyond their control. I'm going to start with the most obvious thing. They're Peter Parker. Now, I will be referring to this very important appendage as Peter Parker because I do not want YouTube to demonetize this video. Now, there are men who will never ever admit to having a small Peter Parker. And why should they? It's none of our business. But have you ever listened to the way women speak about men's appendages? Even if the women aren't speaking specifically to the guy and he's hearing this conversation, whether in person or online, he's bound to be hit by the crossfire. Let's just take a listen to some of the things the women say.
A long while, and now you finally get to be intimate with him, and he has this little package, but he's really,
I'm out.
He's waiting.
I'm out.
Okay.
We don't need to wait. I'm out.
So what are you gonna say? Okay, so here's the second thing. What are you gonna say?
I'm gonna say we are not a good fit, and I'm out.
Goodbye.
But when will I see you again?
Oh, never.
Never?
Well, maybe someday.
When? Tomorrow?
Oh, no.
Let's just envision that for a second. Let's just say that two guys were on this platform, TikTok, talking about how they would never go with a woman who had children before because, you know, it's too loose down there, it's too wide down there. How would you receive that? How would you receive that as a woman, especially if you're a woman who's had a child? And some of you I know have snapped back. But I mean, how would you feel about that? But we make jokes about this when it comes to men. You know, I have a way to change this mindset, quite frankly, if you're interested in knowing what it is. Men, you want to know what it is? You need your flag. You need your own flag, like how the LGBT has its flag. Things turned around when they got that flag. You need a flag. So I've taken the liberty of creating a flag just for you, and you can use it at your next group meeting. You don't have to pay me for anything. I mean, I did this out of the goodness of my heart. Just give me my credit. But this flag says it all. If you look at the flag, it says, you have to look closely at it. It says, it's not the size of the boat, but the motion in the ocean. And if you don't like that one, I created a second one, which says that you don't have any problem getting tail. So y'all could have those two flags. Things will turn around in the community if you use one of those flags, I'm telling you. I think it's so whack to insult a man over his body part, particularly considering that he has no control over it. You know, it's what you were given from your parents. And there's no way to exercise your way to a bigger Peter Parker. You can't do anything. You just can't. You're stuck with it. So making fun of somebody's Peter Parker is not fair. It's like guys just get the short end of the stick all the. I didn't even mean to say that. They get the short end of the stick. So you also have to remember, people, that size is relative. Okay, size is relative. I don't know if you all know who Tom Arnold is. He's a comedian and an actor. Black people, he was in Soul Plane, but he was famously married to Roseanne Barr, another comedian, several years ago. And I don't know if you all remember the story, but Roseanne and Tom Arnold went through a nasty little divorce, and Roseanne made some public comments about him shaming his Peter Parker, which I thought even back then was really tacky. Like, how are you going to shame someone for their Peter Parker when you were married to him? Like, you wouldn't. I don't know if you enjoyed it, but you were there for years. What you talking about now? You want to insult it? Like, you benefited from it and then you want to insult it all these years later? Anyway, so Roseanne made this nasty comment about his Peter, his pee-pee, and I will never forget Tom's response. And I'm paraphrasing here, but when I read it, I nearly passed out on the floor. Tom said, well, even a jumbo jet will look small landing in a Grand Canyon. Okay. This is why you can't diss comedians. Like, rappers and comedians, just leave them alone, please. There are women with large nether regions, so everything gets swallowed up. It's like a Bermuda Triangle, but people laugh. Ha 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 ha. He's a small little peepee, But let a man again talk about a woman's vag in a demeaning way. It's too big. It's too loose. It's too smelly. Well, we've entered the 9 circles of hell. So another way that women body shame men is to talk about their height or lack thereof. I think the issue of height comes right after this issue about the Peter Parker. I think it's a sensitive issue for men, particularly men who want women, because these women, for some reason, I think they still think they're in the 50s on a Hollywood set where they need some big, strong men to lift them up and take them somewhere. I've heard women say, I want to look up into my man's eyes. I need to look up at him. I don't want to look down on him, and I don't want to look him straight in his eyes. I need to look up. I recently had a conversation with one of my very good friends, and she said, I've been looking up in my father's eyes and my brother's eyes. All of them are taller than me, and I just don't want to look at anybody at eye level or lower. And she's not the only one who's ever said that. I've heard that a million times. They want to look up to the guy. So they feel like they can only get that if they are with a tall man. Another thing that I've heard from women is they feel like when a fight pops off, like the short guy can't do anything if he's going up against somebody who's bigger. Let me say something to that right here. Let me say something to that right now. That's garbage. Let me say that right now, because I've seen some short dudes body some big boys. No lie. Okay? Especially if you like you stocky, you thick, you could body that big boy. Okay, I've seen it happen. I watched it with my own eyes. Okay, meantime, this guy who's like 6'4", 6'5", you're thinking, oh, he can fight. He's tall. He's falling to the ground like, oh. I can just hear some ladies in the comments saying, well, I was 6 feet tall in the 7th grade, and guys didn't want to get with me. We ain't talking about you right now, okay? Relax yourself. We're talking about the men. See what I'm talking about? Y'all just so selfish. But men are seen as less masculine, less of a protector, less of a defender if they're on the short side. And I've heard women saying, nope, short guy, can't do nothing for me. So sad. Anyway, so let's just listen in on this conversation. I saw this on TikTok with some women explaining why they prefer taller guys.
I want to say no. It's just like I never went for someone shorter than like 6 foot.
Why don't y'all give the under 6 foot guy a chance?
It's just I never found somebody that caught my eye enough for me to like go for them that was under 6 foot.
What about like pushing 5'9"? Would you let them would you give them a chance?
Yeah.
What about you? If I was a girl, I see why girls want like a tall ass man. Cause like sometimes when I stand next to Luke, I'm like, damn, I feel very safe.
She said she don't want no more short dudes.
What's short?
So this her height, right?
6 feet.
3-4 inches taller than her. She 5'4", so you gotta be like 5'8", 5'9".
I'm gonna be like 6 feet.
Not the 15% of men in America. She did date somebody that was short.
I'm like 5'2".
You wear heels around him?
I couldn't wear heels around
That is the
him.
problem.
I can't do that because I'm looking down at you. kissing
Damn.
you.
Did you feel like you could slap him around?
To a certain extent, I feel like there was a presence We walked in a room together.
You had a short dude. That's how you felt?
Yeah, I felt like every dude could beat him up.
Wouldn't date a guy that's like 5'4", date a guy that's like average height. Like, but it goes back to what she said. Like, I want to feel like when I'm walking into a room, like it's like a presence.
Ladies, imagine being super compatible with someone. Super compatible. Like, he makes you laugh. Y'all have a great time together. He's sweet to you. He's kind to you. He's a go-getter. All these great things. And you're like, but he's short, so I'm going to pass. Ugh, fellas, y'all should be happy when that happens, because you know what? They just saved you. You just dodged a bullet. You should be really happy. Like, sayonara, heifer. So short men, I have a solution. It has nothing to do with putting on platforms or lengthening your legs or high hair or any of that. None of that. You don't need any of that. This is what you need. You need a flag. And I have taken the liberty of creating such a flag just for you. This flag that I created says, big things come in small packages. Listen, when your lives turn around, I want my credits. But on a serious note, this is one of the things that bothers me, because again, this is something that an individual has zero control over. They have no control. You know, if you've gained weight, you can work out, you can lose the weight, you can eat less, you can have surgery to lose the weight. But height, you can't just grow. I mean, they have like leg lengthening now, but who wants to do that? Don't do that. So let's talk about hair. Hair, by the way, this ain't my hair, it's extensions. Y'all know that. But men are very sensitive about hair, and this is another area where women take delight in shaming men. You know why? Because hair is associated with so many things. Hair is associated with youth. Hair is associated with attractiveness. It's associated with virility. People love a good, thick, plush head of hair. Y'all remember the Bible? Y'all just read your Bible. Remember biblical days with Samson? The champion of the Israelites, and his wife Delilah cut off his hair, and they say it caused him to lose his strength. That wasn't the real reason why he lost his strength, but you know, it says that that's how he lost his strength. And I feel like ever since then, people have been associating hair with that virility, that strength. And I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, women are just like, I don't want a guy who's balding. I don't want a guy with a receding hairline. So if you take away the hair, for some women, they feel as if you've taken away the man's attractiveness, his virility, his strength, whatever. Women lose their hair too. They lose their hair for many, many reasons. Some of them, you know, let me just speak for the Black women. I've seen some women they have traction alopecia because of so many wigs and weaves and tight braids and all that stuff. And many of them have lost their edges as a result. And imagine if a guy was like, nah, shorty, I don't want to get with you because you ain't got no edges. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like what you got up underneath that cap? What you got underneath that lace front? You know what I mean? I don't want her. I want somebody with natural, long, thick, lush hair. What if he were to say that to you? You know, these girls would be pissy mad. But they have no qualms in dissing a guy about his hair, something he has, that's genetics. He has no control over it, none. And even when you have some guys who go out and get toupees, they get clowned. Or they go out and they get like these modern man wigs or weaves or whatever, or they get plugs, they get clowned. So it's like, okay, you clowning me for something I have no control over. I'm trying to rectify the situation. You clown me for that as well. It's like, it's no pleasing y'all. And it's acceptable. Unless, of course, the guy is Steve Harvey or Michael Jordan or some rich and famous guy with a baldy. Then it's like, oh, he's so cute. I like how he had his bald head. No, you like his money. Stop talking. Finally, let's talk about the hypocrisy as it relates to men's bodies. Particularly, I'm going to focus on their weight and their bellies, because, you know, belly is a sensitive issue for some guys. Some men just naturally, you know, gain weight in their tummies very easily. And I'm going to compare the treatment with, and this is not to pick on her because I actually love her a lot, is Lizzo. Let me start by saying Lizzo gets a lot of flack about her weight. She does. She gets a tremendous amount of flack about her weight. But I find that a lot of the flack that she does get is because of what she chooses to wear, right? She can wear some clothes that tend to be a bit lascivious looking and just out there. Like, I wouldn't want to see it on anyone. But that's her choice. That's her body. That's what she wants to do. So people, that's their mouth. That's their opinion. And they voice their opinions, right? But I do see a lot of people who celebrate Lizzo and will combat someone who speaks against her for her weight. And even magazines and online articles will like they will shame people who are attempting to body shame Lizzo. Now, let's juxtapose that. Let's compare that to how someone like Jonah Hill is treated. And his weight has fluctuated over the years. He was like a chubby kid. And even into adulthood, he had gained a great deal of weight. And let's just talk about how he was treated, for example. So in 2014, I remember Jonah Hill was asked, an interviewer asked him if he was still considered the fat guy in Hollywood circles. Are you still considered the fat guy in Hollywood circles? And I can't remember. I want to say that Jonah walked out of that interview. I have to research. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I remember him just kind of like being disgusted and walking out of that interview. And I thought about that from the perspective of like a Lizzo or a woman. Let's just take it away from Lizzo. Just say a woman, right? If a woman was battling her weight and she was in Hollywood, and an interviewer said, "Are you still considered the fat singer in Hollywood or the fat actress in Hollywood?" That would probably be the last time that interviewer ever interviewed anyone for that magazine, for that publication, for that anything. They would be done, because the amount of backlash that would come from that would have been so swift and so severe, right? But we're okay doing that to men. Compare the way Lizzo is treated to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. Now, we remember the Super Bowl performance where he hung upside down on stage. And you remember the memes. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I laughed at the memes. And I'll tell you why I laughed at the memes. I didn't laugh because of 50's weight. I laughed because 50 is such a troll. And I do like him, you know. I do enjoy his artistry. And he's funny, right? Sometimes. But sometimes he's very nasty. And he trolls people all the time. So I suspect that a great number of people were clowning him and creating memes because it was like, haha, payback for you. But then it just kept going on and on and on about his weight. And I was like, oh, okay, so y'all really making this a thing. Y'all just going to shame this guy, right? And the thing is, 50 has been taking it in stride and laughing it off and saying, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. But, you know, as someone who read his book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, which is a great book, by the way, I remember him speaking about his struggles with his weight and, you know, how it affected him. And I know, even though he's taking it in stride, that a lot of those comments got to him. Had to. He's still human at the end of the day, right? And I just thought about just how we will celebrate one person's body being a certain size, and when it comes to men, or I should say we celebrate women being a certain size and it's okay, and, you know, body positivity, but the minute a guy puts on weight, it's like, let's just clown him to death. You know what I mean? And I just saw a lot of hypocrisy with that.
My friends kept asking me why I wouldn't date a fat man.
Fat man, them not have nobody. One thing them have is a big old belly. We don't want a fat man to come lay down. Want a little skinny man will look nice and sexy.
I don't like when men's emotions are taken for granted and we just feel like we could just laugh at them, or we can laugh, you know, we can just make sport of their pain. And with women, we approach them with, you know, delicate gloves and oh, we shouldn't say that to them. Nobody should be getting it clowned like that. Nobody. So listening to this guy, and I want you to listen. I just love his accent. I just love his accent. He sounds Australian. But again, on TikTok, I saw him on TikTok, and I just was like, he's speaking facts. I want you to just hear it. It's a bit long, but just listen to what he's saying, guys.
I've always said on my channel that if you don't like someone for who they are, that's fine. You can tell them, but don't shame them about it. Right? Just go, look, I'm sorry, love. You're not what I'm looking for. You know. But a man can't say, look, I'm not going to date you because you're overweight. Because then he's just a fat shamer and a misogynistic bastard, basically. So that's the difference right there. That, to me, is the double standard. A man, if he's called fat, will just move on, not care about it, and understand that he is a niche flavour. He's a Turkish delight, if you wish. That majority of people won't like him, but then just he understands, oh, I'm just going to give my time, to the few that do like me.
Well said. Well said. I might not be your type, but don't be a douchebag about it. Turkish delight. Yeah, you're a Turkish delight, sir. You know, I couldn't have said it any better. Like, you know, people reserve the right to say someone's not their type or I'm not interested. But to demean somebody like, oh, I would never get with you because you fat, or you got a big belly, or you got a this, or you get like, that's so not cool. Anyway, guys, let's talk about this down in the comments section. I want to hear from you, especially the guys. You don't have to tell me which category you're in. If you do want to tell me which category you're in, you know, what you are often shamed for, feel free to do so. But just let me know, like, you know, your mental state, like, how do you handle these things when they happen, you know, and what do you really feel about it? If you're a woman who is married to or dating a short guy, do you feel less protected by him? Do you feel like he's less than a man? Be honest. I always ask people to just be honest. Like, just you know, you could say I love someone, but sometimes I do feel, you know, like he probably wouldn't be able to fight. Or some women might be like, girl, my man could fight. If he has to fight, he can defend me. He can protect me. Yeah, let's just talk. Anyway, my name is Rogan. This is This Bahamian Gal. Thank you so much for watching my video. Be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And please turn on your notification bell so you know when I release a video. You will be automatically notified when I release a video. Follow me on Instagram at This Bahamian Gal. On TikTok at This Bahamian Gal TBG. And on my blog at www.thisbahamiangal.com. Be sure to put that notification bell on for next week because I have a really, really good video coming out. May get some folks upset, but you know what? The truth is the truth is the truth is the truth. So I'll see you guys next week, Wednesday at 1 o'clock. I love you, and I will see you. Bye.
Fat man, them not have nobody. One thing them have is a big old belly. We don't want a fat man to come lay down. Want a little skinny man will look nice and sexy.